All right, cool. Let's do. All right. Move some things around. Okay, hopefully audio sounds okay. I redirected the mic to point just a little bit more at my mouth, and now I want to adjust this camera. What is that weird cord? That doesn't need to be. That'd be dangerous. I guess you can still kind of see crap down there. Oh well. Don't have to worry about everything. Okay, so this stuff is looking cute. I don't know if I want to do too much more to it. I don't think it needs that much more as far as like messing around with the effects of the blue light. What if we try... Let's delve into the world of the golden dominant light. Let's see what we can figure out there. Sorry, I'm just checking some things. Okay. How do we do this? Actually, I suppose I can take just a little time and think about how the background might react. Just a little bit. And the color of the... Good morning. The color... Thanks for joining. I've been starting late, relatively late, these past couple streams. It's hard to get out of bed this morning. I'm just going to do a very sort of light, innocent like a nominal bit of lighting treatment here in the background. I have the color, like the native color of the walls and the stonework is blue. It's a little silly. I mean, it's not crazy. Like, you can paint a wall blue, can't you? But like, that's not typically how we think of ruins. But I guess in ancient times, they used to do stuff like that. anyway. If a blue light hits a blue wall, it's gonna reflect a lot of blue. So I don't want to just ignore that. I'm just putting in some details here to sort of bring some of that out. But it doesn't need to go overboard. And I know that for the deeper background, a lot of that is just going to get completely obscured by stuff we're about to paint in. Like over here in the background, that's all going to be this goldeny color. And even the little tiny details that I'm doing right now are kind of gonna just go away, is my prediction, as we layer in a bunch of atmospheric golden atmosphere depth. Okay, I think it's time. One thing I did decide to do that we haven't implemented yet is I'm going to draw in... Essentially, there's going to be a cool fire pit with stairs that lead up to the fire pit. Some sort of burning altar. Type of thing happening here. That's going to be the source of this big glowing light that is happening in the faraway scene. Oh, hey, dude. Surprised to see you up, but I guess it is 8 o'clock in New York. 8:38. So Boxer, Jules is in Poland. She's been a regular of my stream. Jules, unrelated to my wife, also named Jules, which is hilarious. Or is Jules from Poland? Anyway, I believe that's the case. Yep. Boxer is my brother in real life. I'm not sure if she is let's see. I don't know if she follows my Twitch, to be honest with you. Maybe it's for the best, but... Alrighty. Alright, Boxer. Like how it's coming along. Boxer got a sneak preview of the of how the sausage is made the other day. He snuck into my studio over my shoulder and demanded to see. I didn't want him to see it, but he had to see to satisfy his curiosities. No, I was using him as a test subject to see if he liked how the art was going. Yeah. No, a Boxer talked me off of the ledge of artistic suicide by pointing out that putting a lens flare on a piece of art like this was an injustice, an affront to humanity. So there will be a cool thing. So, you know, it's like, how do you draw fire? How do you draw light? This is not the final end-all be-end-all product, but I'm introducing that, like here's a question. Like when you here's a funny scenario. If you've ever looked at a campfire at night and said, man, that's beautiful, I want to take a picture of it. So you go and you take a picture of it, but you've got your flash on. And then you look at the picture later and you just see this burning ash pit and all the fire is gone. It's like, what happened? What did you take a picture of? So it's like a fun lesson in, like, the fire is beautiful, but fire is not necessarily as bright as the flash, for instance, that took the picture. And so when you take the picture of the fire at night, it obliterated the flash from the photo, obliterated the strength of the light coming from the fire itself and rendered it invisible, basically. Now, if a fire is big enough and giving off enough light and all that, like a forest fire, you don't have that issue, even with a flash. But it's sort of like a fun lesson in, like, fucking photons. How do they work, right? The answer is, I don't know. But I know that typically I get a good result if I don't play too close to the pointy edge of this thing, and I really just concentrate on getting a nice gradient from here to here. And that can look nice enough as far as, like, the painted part of the fire. And the light itself is super tricky. And I'm not going to be one of those guys that, like, actually paints in the smoke with, like, paint and stuff like that. We're going to use a glow tool, which is kind of like a modified airbrush. But here we can kind of see. It is kind of cheat. No, it is a little bit cheating with anything outside of the use of AI is now it's clear that, like, what the wonderful thing about AI is that now that I've decided that the AI is what's cheating, and now everything else we do outside of it is not cheating, then it's good. Now we're all playing by the same rules. Just don't use AI, right? No AI and no lens flares, and you're golden. But I think lens flares will have their day. I will bring back lens flares. And I will eventually, I think I will bring around the image in question, the offending image in question that the Boxer and I are talking about. Because I already confessed to the chat that I did go ahead, scouted ahead, and tried to determine what the heck I wanted to do. Do I want some sunlight? Do I want some firelight? Do I want something else? Like what is that other light source that is needed? But this is it. It's the fire pit. Okay, so what do we do from here? Okay, so that's the fire. And we're still going to paint in a lot, there's still a lot of painting in to get done. But let's pretend that we can, and maybe I'll try and do it without like the glow tool. We'll just use airbrush. Let's see what happens. I actually don't use an airbrush. I use something that I call, where is it? Like that is an airbrush tool, but I don't like using that. Pardon me while I scan through. Dang. Here we go. I have a tool I use called the Air Pencil, which has an airbrush-like effect, but it's got a bigger radius. Like a big radius. Let's start dark. It's super difficult sometimes to mirror the effects of light without actually going in and stepping through all the different kinds. I don't want this stuff too saturated either. I think this is kind of approximating the a little bit of that effect. Go too overboard because there's there's also light that's supposed to be coming and streaming through, and the fire itself needs a bit of a treatment here. Like that brightness matches better, right, than this a little bit more, right? We could probably go even further. You know, sort of getting brighter and brighter. I want it bright, but I don't want to just obscure all the detail as well. So it's a fun balance, but now it's like I'm using layer blending modes to get it brighter and brighter, but it's still all the information that I painted in by hand. Like you saw me paint in the fire and you saw me paint in the steps and stuff like that. I'm just taking the information and I'm doubling down on it. Now I want there to be a real effect of the... Okay, all that is smoke. Before I go crazy with that, what does the color of this wall look like if we add a lot of light and then a lot of red, or sorry, orange color? Could be something like this. Paint that in everywhere where we think it's going to catch a lot of light from the fire. Boxer, how was your flight into New York? Anything eventful happen? My brother is a... Everybody should check out Boxer's channel. He's an inspiration to me with his success in streaming, and he's a huge asset to this stream as well. Boxer provided this lovely microphone. Hi Ham, hi Ham. Grateful for Ham's support as well. So do you guys see... Now it's purposely like not overdone, like with like super red influences, but do you guys see how in this back scene we can get a sense of blue light coming from one direction and the influence of like the warm firelight? It does look good, yeah. Stuff like this there wasn't any application of in that little scout ahead thing that Boxer was privy to. He got to see the sneak preview of the thing. And if I was just painting this background, I might make a point to be like, well, I want more red influence, and I want more this influence, I want more that influence, but I have to keep that stuff a little bit in reserve, because look how much red is like in this foreground shot. We don't need to go crazy with red. It'll just be like a big thing of red. It'll be a big red overdose. So here, where we can see some of this stuff. And then in the distance, it's kind of just going to get so atmospheric. There's no point in chasing everything down. Sometimes little details and artistic things that can be like, if you ever watch those reality shows where people are starving in the desert and they're like, I need food, I'll do anything for food, and they're so like food obsessed and hypnotized that they'll like chase down like a poor bird or whatever, and then they finally like get the bird, and it's like they pluck all the feathers and it's like less than it's like they're eating a bone basically, because there's nothing on the bird. Like the bird was already starving and they chased down and ate the poor bird. It cost more calories to eat the bird than they get from the bird. Yeah, it's like, you don't have to do all that. You don't have to do everything. Things. But they're catching my eye. Make them go away entirely. Bring them back. Double down on them. Vindicate them. Anyway. Same sort of doodle over here. But yeah, I guess the main lesson is that like opposite colors of light, when you combine them, they cancel out their respective hues. Like, you know, orange and blue kind of cancel each other out, but they add to each other's brightness. So you end up just sort of getting a brighter neutral gray for your troubles, which in and of itself doesn't look like anything, but when you put it with all the other colors, it looks fantastic. Or at least I think so. But there's some tricky things to balance, because it's like the brighter I make the background, the brighter things are, the brighter the light source has to then become. So I might have to step up the brightness on the fire pit one more time, just to bring it more aligned or in balance with the brightness that I'm adding to the background. Sort of vaulted ceilings. I was analyzing the composition of this the other day. I was like, man, I'm putting a lot of time and effort into this. Is this even a good piece? Like, what have I done? What can I do to justify? But if you'll observe, there's this great sort of double shape thing happening here where we have this fun curve of the centipede, the Lanmola. And then the same kind of curve is echoed here. See this kind of funny backwards S? Here it's obvious. But it's also echoed here with Link. Isn't that funny? From the hat to the shoulder, right up his sword. And then of course we've got all these legs. And of course, this knee and this leg are kind of similar to all these legs. Just in the way that they're posed. Now these are going to be moving, but these are going to be still. This guy's searching, but this guy's waiting. They're both looking for each other, but only one sees the other. Be kind of fun. So I think there's fun themes here, even if I didn't obviously intend it from the start. Okay, what else? Really quick, I just feel like I really want to... Can I... Okay, so this is a problem. Check this out. So, the darkest part of the fire, which is, I guess, this edge right here, that isn't brighter than... It's not apparently much brighter, if brighter at all. It might even be darker than the brightest part reflecting from the fire. That's impossible, right? So that means something's a little out of whack. We have to do something about that. I think in this case, I just want the fire to be brighter. I'm going to save my work. That's always a good idea. And where are we with the fire? Fire. Okay, here's the fire. I have so many fire layers now. They're all just doubled up on each other. What if I double it up again? One more time. This may be the solution. Even more fire, doubled up again and again and again. Brighter and brighter. Now, when something gets bright enough, it actually has to, like, sort of bleed out a little bit. So we're definitely going to be doing that. Let's see what it looks like when we turn the smoke back on. Feeling... what's that random beep sound? Something probably happened. But, oh, that looks nice. Okay. I think even in here... we need to have some glow effect. But I promised... Okay, I'm not going to try and just use the glow every time. But we need brightness. Something that feels like the light is bleeding. Oh, wait, this has to be... So this is interesting. It actually has to be on top of the fire. Top of the altar, too. Yeah. Proper sense. Sort of radiant brightness. That might be too obvious. Certainly a fun convergence. What if instead of that, okay, I've set that bloom to an overlay layer. Let's see if screen is better. I just don't want to lose the fun saturation. This might be too much. Maybe some tiny streaks. Because I'm also going to have light sort of shooting out through the form. There's going to be a lot of atmosphere still to come, where we have a sense of light that is like shooting out from the fire, and like God rays is filtering through the many legs of the Lanmola. That's too much. Let's see here. What happens if I... Does it look better if it's nudged over a little bit? Do we see... I think I like that slightly better. Doesn't seem to harm too much. Okay, I'm gonna be home alone with the kiddos in a minute. So my wife is leaving for work. So I'm going to do some really quick things and then we will call it a stream. But it's starting to get some momentum, which I really am excited for. I'm excited to be seeing these effects happening and looking good. So like I said before, where there was an issue where the brightest part of the fire was as bright as the brightest part of the reflection of the fire on the wall, and that can't happen. Now I feel now that we can advance a little bit. Let's see. So that's that color. Maybe now. Okay, see how that it can now, with our adjustments, now we can start using a little bit of a cheat, but because technically it shouldn't be as bright, but if I apply it right, it will look like this cool effect. Seeing these highlights here. Right? If that's even visible. But highlights are cool. Kids are waking up, pushing his button, keep his face. Okay, I gotta finish up. So this will be to be done more later. I will recall. But even with, you know, you turn back on the smoke and stuff, those highlights get a little bit more obscured, but they still look good. I'll talk more about highlights later. I'm not a color or light genius, but I like the effect that they can have on a scene. Okay, so this is cool progress. I am going to have to say bye for now and see you tomorrow. Adios.